Alex was the type of man who did not require any effort to distinguish himself. He was confident and charming in a manner that caused one's skin to tingle before he even touched them. Our eyes met before I entered the bar, and he smiled as if he already knew I would be his next adventure. He said, leaning in just enough to make my breath catch. "Hey." I responded with a heartfelt thud, already aware that this evening was headed in a direction. He was playful, bold, and magnetic. After a few drinks, he whispered, "Let's get out of here." I was eager to do so, as his touch was ablaze and his kiss was even hotter. However, just as I was about to fully embrace him, I spotted Ryan. He stood alone at the edge of the party, quiet, composed, and intense, the complete opposite of Alex. There was something about him that made everything else fade. He did not approach, but instead waited until I approached, as if he knew I would. When I did, Ryan said, "I love you." Auditory, he asked questions that no one had ever asked, which made me feel understood and seen. We conversed in a serious manner, maintaining a steady gaze. "I am relieved to hear that you are available tonight." "Clara," he murmured, brushing his fingers across my arm. There were no rules, only truth was spoken. She then appeared. James entered the room, and the entire space underwent a transformation. He did not smile to be charming, rather he emanated power. He did not request attention, rather he commanded it. Upon recognizing me, he proceeded directly toward me, unaffected by the intensity of Alex's fire or the depth of Ryan's. "You appear to be in search of something more," he said in a deep, confident voice. "Let me provide it to you." Suddenly, I found myself standing between the three of them, with three distinct forms of energy pulling me apart. Ryan's intensity, Alex's fire, James with dominion. What do you do when every part of you wants to say yes, but you stop thinking? I did, and one kiss turned into another, and one touch into a storm. I wasn't choosing. I was letting go, giving in to the chaos I never knew I desired that night. I stopped being the version of myself that always played it safe. The morning following my full, reckless, and extremely reckless foray into the unknown was brutal. I awoke alone on sheets. I stood at the edge of the mirror, unable to recognize the woman staring back at me. She was bolder, more dangerous, and my heart was pounding with the weight of everything my body remembered, as well as my mind. I had never felt more alive or in control of my own desires. Had I ruined something? Had I found something deeper? I was no longer the same Clara who walked into that party, and I was unable to go back. This was not the end of my story, it was the beginning. Clara had exited the residence, but her strides were trembling with apprehension. The sun had just risen, and its gentle radiance was illuminating the street. The air was thick with anticipation. She could still hear the faint echoes of the party, despite the melancholy of the night that had passed. James whispers. The sensation of Ryan's serene gaze and Alex's unbridled energy was reminiscent of a dream. However, the repercussions of that dream continued to linger on her skin, evoking an unforgettable contact. What was all this, she asked herself, but no one was there to answer. Sin or freedom? She stopped near a cafe where people were grabbing their morning coffee, ready for another day at work. Everyone's lives seemed to be in order, and she was walking a path far from ordinary, a path with no way back. Had she really crossed a line, or was it just a fleeting moment of recklessness? But the truth was, she wanted to feel that recklessness again. Sipping her coffee, she took out her phone. A notification. Blink. James had messaged, "Last night was incredible. Can we meet again?" Her heart skipped a beat. She knew James's attention was like a dangerous game, magnetic, but potentially destructive. Then came a message from Alex. "I still feel what we had last night. What do you want?" The most surprising aspect of the situation was that Ryan had not sent any communication to Clara. Was this a signal for her to forget him? Or was he waiting for her to make the first move? Clara was engulfed in a tidal wave of emotions, but one thing was certain. This narrative was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. Clara was seated on the park bench, gazing at her phone. James, Alex, and Ryan, each of them had left mark on her, each offering something different. But now, with the morning air cooling her flushed skin, she realized something. This wasn't about them, this was about her. For so long she had been chasing excitement, escaping monotony, searching for something to make her feel alive. Last night had given her that rush, but now in the daylight she saw things clearly. She had spent the night lost in passion, but what came next? More nights like this, more moments blurred Between pleasure and confusion or something real, she took a deep breath and started typing. First, a message to James: last night was unforgettable, but that's all it was. Let's leave it as a perfect memory. Then to Alex: you're incredible, but I need to figure out what I really want. I hope you understand. She hesitated before opening Ryan's chat, as his silence had left her feeling uneasy. However, it is possible that this was his response. He may not have been waiting for her, or he may have already moved on. Regardless, she typed, "If you ever want to talk, I am present without any expectations or drama, only honesty." Clara turned off her phone and leaned back, closing her eyes. She had spent the night being pulled in 3 different directions, but now, for the first time in a long time, she was choosing herself. She realized that this was the most thrilling choice of all. Like what you heard. There's plenty more heartbreak and secrets to come. Hit like, subscribe, and stay curious with Tangled Truths.